In this video we're going to be talking about the Central Flair Series in Birmingham, what it's all about and how you can get involved. It's only a couple of days away, so let's get on with it.
Welcome to the BartenderHQ.com podcast. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at BartenderHQ.
Okay guys, so it's going to be a really quick show this week. I'm not going to make a huge amount of stuff because I have literally so much stuff still to do for the Central Flair Series. We've got the judges are now in place. We have got our sponsor in place, our main sponsor in terms of the liquor stuff, so that's great. That helps us out a lot with the prizes. As I mentioned last week, Bacardi have come on board as our main supporter for this event, so very, very pleased to have them on board. But I just thought I'd talk a little bit on this show about what actually goes into running a competition like this, because there's an awful lot of stuff that, even though I'd been involved with the Masters of Flair last year, things that I hadn't thought through. So we're going to just mention a few of those items and the sort of things that if you're putting on an event, whether it's a Flair event, a mixology competition, you're doing any sort of other stuff around bartending where you're bringing a whole bunch of different bartenders together, we're going to talk about some of the things that you might have to think about with putting on your own event. Now, if you're smart like Julia Tunstall, you would put on an online event like the Craft Bartender Summit that's coming in April time. If you didn't watch last week's show, do pop back and have a look at that. It's a really in-depth sort of chat with Julia where we went into what's going to be coming and exactly how you can get involved. It is completely free, so I highly recommend that everyone goes and signs up for that, and that's at craftbartendersummit.com. For a physical in-person event, there's an awful lot of stuff that you have to take into account. So things like, first of all, you've got to find a venue. Now, we're quite lucky because I work in a nightclub already. We've got a ready-made venue that's not open on the night normally that we're going to be running the event. So Monday night coming, we will have the place to ourselves. You've got to find ways of bringing people down there. You've got to get the word out to the bartending community, which is not as easy as you'd think. A lot of bartenders don't seem to spend a huge amount of time online, and so it kind of becomes like a word of mouth thing with bartenders that are seeing this stuff, telling others, and the whole thing goes out that way. I think as well, once we've actually got the first event out of the way, once we've got video from the bartenders' awesome performances on the day, and we can use those to sort of push the event ready for the next round. So it's going to be the first Monday of every month. Now, in terms of the actual organising of the event, from my point of view, I've had things to organise like the cocktail menu for the night. So we've got our sponsor in place, which is Bacardi, which is fantastic because obviously white rum is a great thing to mix. You've got plenty of options. We're doing a fairly simple cocktail menu for this first event at least. We may expand it a little bit later on, but we're going with things like the classic mojito, the daiquiri, we're going with the Bacardi cocktail, Mary Pinkford, Hurricane, and a Gulf Coast Sex on the Beach. So it's 6 drinks, nothing too crazy in there. The Gulf Coast, if you don't know it, is the TGI Fridays style Sex on the Beach, but made with rum instead of vodka. So you're going Bacardi, Midori, Chambord, and then pineapple and cranberry juice. It's really, really good, and that's shaken, served shaken over ice. The Mary Pinkford is the other one that people don't seem to be that familiar with. It's a bit of a classic, but it is Bacardi mixed with pineapple juice and grenadine syrup, and that's served straight up in a cocktail glass. Now, that menu, because there were a little bit of a delay with confirming Bacardi's sponsorship and all that sort of thing, which is what happens when you're dealing with big companies. They have a lot of layers that you have to go through, so we didn't have time to actually get printed menus done. So what we've actually managed to get is some really big blackboards that we're going to put the cocktail menu on. That's going to go on the back bar and everyone can order from that. The drinks are going to be really well priced as well, because at the nightclub that we're doing the event at the Reflex, we have some drinks from like £1.95, which I guess is about $3, and that's for pints of beer and bottled beers. And then we also have cocktails from like $4.75, so they're not expensive at all. So it's going to be a really good night. it's a little bit. It's one of the cool things about not being in central London. Whereas the Roadhouse, they do put on their happy hour and all that sort of thing to bring the price down for the people that are attending. It's still a London bar where you've got to cover London rents, so the prices are never going to be as cheap as ours. That's just one of the little advantages that we have of being outside the capital. Now, from a sort of logistics point of view for the stuff that I've had to set up for the event, so we have TV screens all the way around the venue. We're going to have those with a countdown timer on them, so the bartenders can see exactly how much time they've got left, and the crowd can get involved with the countdowns and all that sort of thing. And it makes sure we keep it nice and fair, because one of the things that I really struggled with at the Masters of Flair was that not all of the bartenders had actually got a track that was exactly the same length as the routine, so it was tricky to kind of either have to have a stopwatch going or to try and work it out from the time codes on the CD player. So for this event, as soon as their time starts, boom, there goes the counter, and everyone knows exactly where we are. So that's going to make things a lot easier, and everyone will know. We're also moving, compared to when we did the Masters of Flair event, we're moving the bar. It's going to be right in the middle of the venue, so everybody can see it, everybody has a great view, and we can get more people around that bar. It'll have a lot more of a kind of core feel to it. It was a little bit out of the way. It wasn't a place that I wanted it, to be honest, the first time. The bartenders struggled a little bit height-wise. This time we've got a massive, massive space above the bar, which is kind of open up to our first floor, so that's going to be really cool as well, and gives the bartenders a little bit more space. We've also, because we've moved it away from the dance floor, there's a lot less disco lights that are going to be flashing in bartenders' eyes, so that's one good thing. We've added some extra lighting, down lights, to put some more light on the bar so that hopefully everyone can see it well enough. We'll have to see when I finalise the setup and everything tomorrow if that's enough or if I need to get anything else. Now again, we are going to be filming these routines, so they're going to be going up on Bartender HQ's YouTube channel during next week. YouTube is something that we're really going to be focusing on this year. I have a bunch of new videos that I'm just getting ready to publish. They're going to be over the next few days, so keep your eye out for those, although it might end up getting pushed back a little bit because of the editing from these Flair routines. I want to get those up as quickly as possible so you guys can see exactly what goes on at the event and get a good feel for it. Now, if you've not actually attended a Flair competition before, the kind of way that the format works at these things is basically the bartenders have got they have 7 minutes allocated. The first 2 minutes is setting up their bar. Now, we're making it as quick as possible because we've taken out a whole chunk of the setup that the bartenders normally need to do. We found that it took quite a while to get the bar reset in between different bartenders at the Masters of Flair event. So what we're doing is we are setting up the bar exactly the same way for every bartender. So the working Flair bottles will have 500ml in them. The exhibition Flair bottles will have 25ml in them. The pour spouts will all be there and ready. The bar will be set up exactly the same way for every bartender. So it levels the playing field a little bit. You've got regular pour spouts on there, which makes it feel a little bit more like working a shift, as opposed to having the tap down short pour spouts that are quite often taped into the bottles. That's not happening. So it's a lot more like a kind of bar that you would encounter, apart from the fact that all the bottles are going to be the same. So basically, once the bartenders actually enter the bar, they'll come down the spiral staircase. They will just put their tins out. Basically, tins is the only thing that the bartenders are going to need to bring themselves. Glassware, all the tools that they'll need, apart from their own shaker tins, will be provided and ready and set for those bartenders. So once they set foot on that bar, the countdown starts. They have 2 minutes to do their setup and get everything exactly where they want it, to get comfortable, to get the crowd going if they want to use that time for that, and then we'll have a little countdown, and at 5 minutes remaining, that's when their routine starts. The judges are going to be sat right in front of the bar, so they're going to have a perfect view of this whole thing. The crowds will be on both sides and behind the sofa that the judges are on. So it's going to be a really cool atmosphere, real crowd around the bar, and get a lot of cheering going and that sort of thing. It's really, really important in Flair routines to actually get the crowd involved. And if you wanted to put together a Flair routine yourself and to actually score really well in these events, there is an article on Bartender HQ which is all about how you can score far more points at your next Flair competition without learning a single new move. So go and check that one out. So bartenders, if you are watching this and you're coming down to the Master Flair, please make sure you have at least one copy of your music on CD, preferably a couple just in case there's any problems with it. And if you've got a digital format as well, that is all good. And the more versions and kind of fail-safes that you've got of your routine, the better. Now we will have a allocated practice area as well. That will be upstairs above the main bar. That will be for competitors only, and the competitors are also getting free soft drinks, so that's all cool. But obviously I do expect all of you to be on the beers as soon as the competition is over. So if you're interested in coming down, get down to Reflex Arcadian in Birmingham. It's about 5 minutes walk from New Street Station, and it's going to be an awesome night with some wicked Bacardi cocktails coming out. We've got 9 bartenders from all over Europe and all over the UK coming to compete, so it's going to be a really cool atmosphere. We've got a few of the guys that actually work at the Roadhouse in London coming to compete, so really can't wait to see what they bring to the table, and I hope we will see a whole bunch of you guys there. Now, one thing that we found out last week is that Britain's Got Talent is in town, and the theatre that they are using for their audition process is actually right opposite us, so don't be surprised if the place is a bit crazy. We're going to have performers, we're going to have stage people and all kinds of people in the area, so hopefully a whole bunch of them will come in as well and we'll make it an even better night. So for you guys that are not coming down to the competition, and in fact those that are, get over to the Worldwide Bartender Community on Facebook. It's our group that's there and anyone can join it. You can talk about anything you want that's related to bartending on there, and I have got a poll set up at the moment, and that is all about what you want from Bartender HQ. Now, I've obviously been here and I've been doing my own thing. I'm doing what I'm passionate about. Flair is something that I'm really passionate about, so do expect more Flair content coming very, very soon. I've also got a second ebook that I'm in the process of writing at the moment, so if that's something that you're interested in, the topic for that book is going to be how to get a job in the best bar in town and make the money that you deserve. So if that's something that you're interested in, go to our sign-up page on the Bartender HQ website. You will be the first to know as soon as that's out, and I would love to hear your feedback. But if there's anything that you want to know about that I've not mentioned on these videos before, or on the podcast, or on the website, just leave me a comment below and let me know exactly what you want to know about, and I'd love to help serve you guys better. So we'll call that it for this week's show. It is a short one, I do understand that. I say that pretty much every week, but we have had so much to organise for the Central Flair Series this week. I hope you understand. I've also got my wedding coming up in April, so that's something else that's taken up a lot of our time at the moment, and you know how things get. So thank you for joining me on this week's show. Join us on all the normal places. In the meantime, there's some brilliant videos going up on the Bartender HQ Facebook page at the moment, so come and join us there and let me know what you think of them, and I will see you again on next week's show. If you like this video, click like. If you disliked it, click dislike. Let me know in the comments if there's something else you want me to talk about, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already so that you will get notified every time we release something new.